How's it going, everybody? This is trucking prodigy, Rudy Ladon, the original Pontiac Trans Am. And, I just woke up, took me a shower and everything like that. And I got about 3 more minutes before I actually start my pre-trip and whatnot. And then I'm going to get back on the road. But I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the whole Celadon conversation, because I know the last video that I actually talked about, it was pretty vague. It wasn't really that much detail or anything like that. But the more I actually looked into it, I wasn't in the trucking industry when, this happened. There was another company that was called Aero Trucking, in which the same thing that's going on with Celadon happened to them, where they had to close their doors because they wasn't really able to pay their workers, and plus a lot of the money that the company said it made or it was worth, when it was time to actually report financial earnings for the quarter, and when they open the books and everything like that, it's stating that the company made this much, but nothing's really showing where the money is actually going. So usually that actually creates a lot of problems, because when you're actually involved in the stock market exchange, your financials and your books have to be up to par, because if not, it's possible that your company can actually be audited, and it's a good chance your company could go under. Trucks could be repossessed, and that's kind of that's what happened with Aero Trucking. They wasn't able to pay their workers. CEO got in trouble. CEO was basically taking all the money that the company made and spending it on himself, spending it on his wife, just living a good life, good living. Good living. Bentleys, $70,000 rings for the wife, $1 million houses, and this and that, all from the backs of the truckers. And from that, when they finally got caught up, technically truck drivers for that company had no choice, because they sent out a fleet message saying that, if you're close to a company terminal, turn your truck in, turn the keys in, and you're technically out of a job. If not close to a terminal, go to the closest truck stop, get your stuff. It's about to be repossessed, and and it's kind of, it really sucks, because if it's the only way that you can actually make some money, and all of a sudden a message like that comes across your your Qualcomm or whatever the hell they used back then, just to know that you're done. You're not making any more money. The company's going under. Your truck might be filled up with shit. How the fuck you plan on getting all this shit out and getting this shit back home? And you can't drive home because your fuel card turned off. It's really upsetting. And it's like the same thing might be happening to Celadon, because I heard Swift was most likely almost going through that same situation, but because the Swift CEO has stepped down, and Knight Transportation actually came in and took over for Swift. So you might as well say Knight, Swift is Knight now. You might as well say, Knight actually came and took over Swift. Now, the more that I actually started thinking about this, that's usually what happens when a lot of big companies get into trouble like that. Once it actually gets to a certain point where it's either they have to go into bankruptcy. Well, that's one of the options. They have to go into bankruptcy. Well, 3 things can happen. You go into bankruptcy, in which you'll probably have to do a Chapter 11, a Chapter 11 bankruptcy with reorganization, structuring, and everything. You close your doors. That means the company is finished, or you would have to get bought out by a company that can actually afford you, or you would have to actually, make the price affordable for somebody to buy you out, which a lot of times that doesn't happen. But usually, I want to use Lehman Brothers as a good example. When Lehman Brothers went out of business, a lot of you probably don't know about this or probably wasn't even looking into it or anything like that. When Lehman Brothers went out of business, this is when the 2008 housing market crashed. Until this day, a lot of people don't even know what the fuck happened that day. The housing market crashed in 2008 because of these subprime loans that was actually being given out to like the lower classes and partially middle class individuals that actually could afford an affordable payment. Now, with that being said, let's say for so many subprime loans to actually be written up and for people to actually take the subprime loans, it actually came to a certain point where it was just building up. It kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because so many people was getting houses that they really couldn't even afford. So once the bubble actually got big enough and these corporate people decided that it's time to let it go, that's when that bubble bust, and that's when that whole mortgage crisis came about. A lot of people had to default on their mortgage because they couldn't pay it. And when you actually look into this deeper than that, if you actually watch the movie The Big Short, if you haven't watched it, I advise you to actually watch that movie. That movie sheds a lot of light on what happened in 2008. It's still to this day one of my favorite movies because it just says a lot. These corporate people make money off of the building bubble, and then when it gets to the point where I guess they feel like they just made enough and this is the highest that it's gonna go, that's when they decide to let it bust. And you know what that does? You make money while it's going up. You get out when it's at its peak, and then once it's about to break, get back in, but this time you bet on it going down. So not only did you make money while it was going up, you betted on it going down also. So if somebody made $70 million just from it going up, you take that $70 million, bet that shit going down, you possibly came out with maybe 400. I'm just gonna throw a number out there, 475 million, off of people that worked their ass off, hoping to get a house for their family. And technically, you're just preying on the dreams of, citizens, every individual that's actually in this company. Now, when Lehman Brothers came into play, because the thing about that is that these subprime loans, once they actually are taken into effect, once you actually sign that paper, of course, the bank takes the paper, they send the paper to the market. They send the paper right into the market. And the paper is really what's being sold and bought on the market. Now, from that being said, banks do not want to hold that debt, because that would be big trouble for them if they actually hold on to that debt. So what they do, they play hot potato with it. They play hot potato with that paper. And in some cases, some banks actually get caught up with that paper. In which, in this case, you might as well say Lehman Brothers was actually one of the banks that actually got caught up in that whole ordeal. So when it got to the point where Lehman Brothers was in deep shit, because it came to the point where Lehman Brothers couldn't keep paying all their employees So they had no choice but to close their doors as well. And this was a mega bank back then. I think they had what? I think over 100 years of banking service, and they just got torn down within I don't fucking know. Maybe a few weeks or something. Maybe a few days. I don't fucking know, because I really don't fucking know. But for a bank like that to get in so much deep shit, imagine what the fuck else could possibly happen. If anything, you might as well say what happened to Arrow and what might happen to Celadon is kind of like the trucking industry's, subprime mortgage bust. Now, I also had a theory back then that the next time something like this was to happen, it's not going to be, like the subprime mortgage. Well, you might as well say it is going to be something like that, because it's possible that could happen again. But one thing I think is also going to play a major part is it's going to be a financial crisis. It's going to be a debt crisis. And this is where a lot of student loans come into play. Because a lot of people actually go to school thinking that they're going to get this high degree to get a good ass job, to buy whatever they want, pay for their family, get a house, just ball out, have a good time. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that there is a such thing as being overqualified for a job. Not for no blue collar motherfucker. That's why I say if you're what they so-called clarify as an American family, you're never overqualified. But if you're somebody like me, or Hispanic, or anything of the sort, it's a such thing as an overqualification for you. So now you got this shit ton of debt from going to school just to get a good ass job, just to be told that you're overqualified, we can't hire you. And it's kind of slamming the door right into your face. It's forcing you to actually get a job just like everybody fucking else has. Might be a restaurant job, might be a fucking billing clerk or some shit like that. It's really a shame. It's really a fucking shame. And when you're forced to get a job like that, you might as well say you're never going to be able to pay off your student loans. Oh, shit. This motherfucker behind me. I can't even see if this. I don't fucking know. Is he moving? No, he ain't. And it's kind of fucked up. A lot of people are never able to actually pay their debts. And not saying, the trucking industry is, a way that you can pay off debt, which it is. You can pay off all your debt being a trucker. I'm starting to pay off all my debt as of right now. And I think I had about $15,000 in debt. And I got it down to, right now, since I started on it, I got it down to like maybe 13,000, which I could pay that off. I could pay that off before the end of this year. I could pay all that off before the end of this year, and I'll be officially debt free. But it's going to be a debt crisis. It's going to be a financial crisis where the dollar bill is going to be nothing. The dollar bill is going to be nothing. The dollar bill ain't going to mean shit. This whole thing is deeper. If you actually venture down that rabbit hole, this shit is way bigger than what you think it is. So, just like my homie say, my homie said, technically there's no running away from it. I mean, you can get debt free, you can have all the money in the world and whatnot like that, but these motherfuckers, they'll still find a way to try to fuck you over. Which is true. They will always try to find a way to fuck you over. And there's something else that I probably want to touch on, but I feel like it's just, I don't know. I might be scared to talk about some shit. I don't think I'm scared to talk about it. It's just that I don't want to encourage, certain people to actually do it. Because when you actually think about it, it's kind of unbelievable, but it's believable to a certain point. Oh, come on, trucks. I gotta get gas. I gotta get the fuck on the road. That's one thing I hate about these damn shits. People, I don't see nobody fucking moving. Why do people do this? They sit at the fucking fuel island. Ain't nobody damn fueling, but they sitting their ass right there. They don't think nobody else needs some damn fuel to get back on the fucking road. But yeah, it's the same thing might be happening with Celadon. Hopefully not. But just like Lehman Brothers, a bank giant fell. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And Celadon, Celadon's kind of, up there. There's probably not a lot of people that actually want to actually save them. They probably want them to fall. That way they can come up and actually take their position as being one of the biggest. Just like when Lehman Brothers, Merrill Lynch was actually supposed to. No. What that bank was? Morgan Stanley, I believe. I think Morgan Stanley was supposed to fall with them. But I think Bank of America actually came and saved Morgan Stanley. And Lehman Brothers was, forced, to fall. Now, somebody might come in and save Celadon. Somebody might not. Some people probably waiting on the bitches to fall. Could I actually get in there? Yeah, but it's a good chance Celadon's actually going to fall. I hope not. But I've also read an article that they already fired 127 drivers. They already fired 127 drivers. And it could be the beginning of the end for a major carrier like that. Hopefully these drivers actually have enough money to hold themselves over until they actually find them another job. If not, it could be, I would hate for somebody to lose a job like that because, people actually got families to feed. People actually want to withhold their lifestyle and everything like that. And for something like that just to happen, it's kind of like a kick in the shin, kick in the ass. But I've heard some Melton drivers, they're actually helping out. I guess if they find any drivers or whatnot that's, stranded or whatnot, since Melton is also stationed out there in Tulsa. So I guess they're helping get drivers home or whatever drivers need a ride or whatnot. there's no telling what the hell could happen. This is just the beginning. The only thing I can say is, it's always good to hope for the best, but you got to make sure you prepare for the worst. And hopefully everything goes good. Because I would hate to be in that position my damn self. But yeah. Hope this video actually shed a little bit of light on the whole situation. If you haven't seen the movie The Big Short, I advise you to actually watch it. Because it's real scummy. These elites, real scummy.